Hello friends, today we are going to continue with Industrial Safety Management series. We will have discourse 14, which is part 5 of total 5 parts of 5 steps in implementation of safety management system. Today we will discuss steps 3, 4 and 5, that is planning, implementation and review. Now again, this is the same slide which we are seeing in last 3 to 4 discourses. So in this slide we are emphasizing that in this discourse we are going to look into how to plan and set standards, how to measure your performance, and what is the meaning of audit and review. So plan and set standards, step 3. Standards lay the foundation for sustainable business advantage and operational excellence in OH and S. So this is common for all management system including OH and S. The standards established within the management system cover legal compliance, continuous improvement, and the management of key OH and S and employee health business risks. So it covers the legal compliance. You have to see when you set the standard, it covers legal compliance, it covers the commitment to the continuous improvement, and it covers the employee health and safety business risks. This approach is consistent with internationally recognized standards such as OSHA's 18001 or ISO 45001. Now, in developing the standards, we have to look into local systems, operating procedures, and instructions must be written in the light of the knowledge of what the standards and applicable OH and S legislation require. So whenever you design the operating procedures and instruction, they must be written in collaboration with or in reference with the OH and S legislation, which is very much required, that reference. Changes in legislation must also be considered because legislations keep on changing. There may be some addition and amendments, so you must be aware of those amendments and you should take care of those amendments. Now planning. Planning is the key to ensuring that your OH and S efforts really work. If you remember, we have talked about the premise of planning, that on which the planning is based on all level 4 audits, then your investigation of the accidents and so on. So planning of OH and S improvement involves an understanding of the standards required, setting objectives and targets. So what you do is, if you want to have improvement in your performance in OH and S, so you must understand what standards will be required for you, what level of standards are required, and how to set the objectives and the targets. So it is a part of the planning. Part of this process involves identifying hazards, assessing risks, identifying and communicating required standards of performance, and developing a positive OH and S culture. So essentially you have to develop a positive OH and S culture. Then, as we have looked into the complete details of identifying hazard, assessing risk, rating risk, and management of those risks, right? So while doing that, identifying and communicating required standards of performance. So you evolve the standards and communicate those standards in pertaining to the assessment of the hazard, assessing the risk, and how the culture is to be developed. So reviewing previous performance can help in this aim. So if your performance assessment is there for the previous year, you can take help of that performance assessment and then compare this year's performance assessment with it, and you will have the help of that previous performance. The site OH&S objectives as well as individual improvements required from the area should form the basis of an OH&S plan. So what should be the basis of the plan? That objectives, then whatever the individual improvement is required from that particular area, and we have, as I said previously, we have discussed at length about on which the OH&S planning is based on. So every manager must have an action plan for their area of responsibility. This also we have discussed, that OH&S is not only the function of EHS department and OH&S department or a safety officer. Every operational area managers must have their own action plans to plan the OH&S efforts. Priority setting. So in short, here our priority one should be always the critical risks. So this represents imminent danger and includes failing to meet a specific legal requirement or a set standard. So what is in critical? So we know that whatever the risks are there beyond 10 rating, they are called as the critical risk, and if there is certain imminent danger which is shown by the workers to you, and if it has come out of your hazard identification, and if you have failed to meet a specific legal requirement which was very important, so these are the top priority or priority number 1. Actions in this category will be completed urgently. So these tasks, this different risk must be taken on priority basis and they must be completed urgently. Then priority 2, that is important. This represents a clear opportunity to eliminate, significantly reduce a risk of injury or harm to the environment. So whatever the major risks are there between 4 and 10, they should be taken in priority 2. Priority 3, that is minor risk. This represents an opportunity for a smaller improvement at minimal cost. So whatever the risks are there which are lying between 1 and 4, but if there is still a scope of improvement, you can take it on the 3rd priority. If you have difficulty deciding which priority is appropriate to a specific action, refer to your OH&S department advisor. So if a operational manager or of a particular section of the operations is not able to decide the priority, he should take the help of the safety officer or OH&S advisor. Ensure high risk actions are added to the site risk register. What are the step 3 requirements? We have looked into the step 3 for creating the standards and planning for OH&S objectives. You should be aware of the standards, legal requirements and other items applicable to your area. Second, set applicable OH&S objectives for your team. So you have to set the objectives for your team. Take health and safety consideration into account in all planning and decision making. Now step 4, measure your performance. Just like customer service, quality and cost, you need to measure your OH&S performance to find out if you are being successful. So if you create the standard, if you set the standard, the next step obvious is that you measure your performance against those standards. So for that you need to know where you are, where you want to be, what is the difference, does it need to be addressed, and if so, how. So this is pertaining to referring to the standards, that this is the standard and now where you are, how much is the gap, and where you want to be. So what is your ultimate achievement of the standards. Now what is the difference, what is the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and does it need to be addressed, and if so, how. So if there is a gap and if that gap is to be addressed, then what action plan, what mitigation plan you are going to envisage. Does it require a step change, or will continuous improvement deliver what is required. So if you have to judge whether you will achieve that difference by a continuous improvement step by step, or you need to have a drastic change in your action plan. Now reactive and proactive monitoring. So reactive monitoring, after things go wrong, means if accident takes place, thereafter you start monitoring and start thinking why this has gone wrong. So reactive monitoring after things go wrong involves learning from mistakes, whether they result in injuries and illness, property damage, near misses, or pollution. So you learn from the mistakes you have done. Proactive monitoring is before things go wrong. It involves regular activities to ensure that standards are being implemented and management controls are working. So you do it proactively before something go wrong, and you involve in regular activities. So you ensure that the standards are implemented and whatever the management controls you have created, they are working, and because of that nothing will go wrong. Now KPIs likely frequency rate and severity rate and safety rate. So many KPIs are there for the performance measurement of the industrial safety and occupational health. So performance measurement with specific regards to setting OH&S targets, compliance monitoring, personal targets, and performance reporting. So you are going to set standard for targets, then how you are going to do the compliance monitoring. For that again you have to create a standard, then you have to create standard for the personal targets, and you have to create standard for performance reporting. So performance measurement we have to do with specific regard to all these 4 factors. And as far as the KPIs are concerned, frequency and severity rate are the important KPIs. We will look into different KPIs at the appropriate time. So compliance monitoring. A key objective of the business plan is to achieve continuous compliance, right? Continuous compliance is identified by, how you identify it? No intervention by an enforcing authority. So you see that you are completely compliant and no enforcing authority will intervene or interrupt your operation, stop your operation. No breaches of consent agreement. If you are doing certain consents are there, like given by the Pollution Control Board. So there are certain conditions given in that consent. So you see that there are no breaches of that consent agreements. No reportable dangerous occurrence or environmental incidents. You see that there are no reportable accidents or environmental incidents, and if at all, I am just adding that if at all there is a reportable accident, then you have to invariably report that accident to the respective authorities. All assessments up to date with no priority 1 or 2 action outstanding. So there should not be any outstanding CAPA as far as the critical and major risks are concerned. Continuous improvement against OH&S audit rating in all product streams and departments. So whatever the audit rating is there for the different departments, for the different product streams. So you have to see that there is a continuous improvement against that audit rating. Means if the audit rating is low, you have to see that how you are going to have the higher audit rating. All managers suitably trained with core competencies in place, confirmed by training records. So this is a very, very important part. There has to be continuous training, there has to be the training records kept, and the managers must be trained according to the need of the training which is felt in their performance appraisals. So that you have to see what is their competencies, in which competencies they lack, and what training program is to be set for them, and that is to be added into the personal development program, that is PDP, of every individual manager. Now step 5 is audit and review. So monitoring provides the information to enable us to review activities and decide how to improve performance. So we have done everything. We have set the standard, we have monitored the activity, we have done the performance assessment, and from all that, after this we take the review, that is the management review, with the help of certain audits, or there may be a separate review of the audits as well as the other performances whatever are done by the organization. So an audit program has been devised which determines the need for audits, gap analysis surveys as appropriate for health, safety and environmental topics related to risk at the site. So you design the audit program which needs that gap analysis. So you have to first, we have seen how to find out the gap, where you are, where you want to go. So gap analysis is a must, and you have to do surveys for finding out the gap, and your audit program must be written according to that. The audit program for the site comprises of the following elements. So there are 4 levels of audit, we have discussed that. Level 1, that is self audit and inspection. Level 2, that is the audits and survey, cross functional and interdepartmental audits. Level 3, external audits including corporate, and level 4 or L4 is government or statutory audits. Already we have discussed about all this level 4, and so we will not add on much on that. So friends, this is that planning, implementation and the review. So in this discourse we looked into the how to plan the standards, how to do the monitoring of the performance, and how to do the performance measurement, and how that performance is to be reviewed. So we have covered in detail the 5 steps which are to be taken in establishing the OH&S management system. So from here we will switch on to discourse 15, which is about management of near misses. So thank you friends for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Thank you.